From the old DWRG, a review of The Master, the character, from Charles Phipps, on the 18th of the 5th, '07. It's an unusual surname. Maybe it's Phillips misspelled, but maybe it's not. A man of wealth and taste. The new series has already revived the Autons, the Daleks, the Cybermen, and a lot of fans are bitterly divided about the next obvious choice to bring back. The Master is probably the most controversial figure in the Doctor Who canon, with only a few characters receiving as much praise mixed with equal parts condemnation. Mike Morris' review on this site indicates that the Master is less a person than an incarnation of evil. Thomas Cookson's review of the character is one that says he's a man with a botched story arc, and Finn Clark's major point is that the Master is entertaining even when he makes no logical sense. None of these reflects my opinion that the Master is actually a grand character, but is ill-suited to attempts to fix him. I'll confess that I'm a huge Master junkie and am hardly unbiased. The very first Doctor Who ad I watched was Time Flight of all things, and it left an impression of villainy in my mind that lasted until my adult life, which is strange since the story is rubbish to my adult self. Nevertheless, I was still able to enjoy the Doctor Who movie simply because it had the Master in it. Despite there being absolutely no reason for me to like Eric Roberts' performance as much as I did, there was an emotional reaction of childish glee to every scene-chewing moment. The first DVD I purchased of Doctor Who was Claws of Axos, and now I'm eagerly going to get the Master trilogy that has been long awaited for my movie shelf. Everyone acknowledges that Delgado created a character that you couldn't take one's eyes off on the screen. Reviews have also softened their stance on Anthony Ainley as they recognise that he got it despite being in some questionable dramas. However, I'd argue that the favourite Master story of many in The Deadly Assassin is one that removes most of the good that is enjoyable in the character. That it's an excellent story is undeniable, but it strips away the characterisation that so many say is paper thin. It seems obvious to state that the Master really is the dark side of the Doctor. Specifically, he's the Time Lord when you've stripped away the never cowardly or cruel. Cruelty and cowardice are actually the Master's chief personality qualities. He enjoys the sense of power that he gets from lording himself over others and flees whenever things turn against him. An accusation of one-dimensional villainy is foolish in Doctor Who anyway, since the Daleks have been entertaining audiences for decades in their relentlessly one-note hatred. In the case of the Master, he's never so amusing as when you realise that he's a multifaceted villain that is always motivated by a combination of boredom, humour, power lust, and self-preservation. Delgado and Ainley would probably agree that the Master is a character that embodies sympathy for the devil. He's a refined character that often contrasts to the clownish silliness of the Doctor, yet it's the Master that seems to have a surreal Joker sensibility to his madness. In Terror of the Autons, he hides out in a circus and kills a man with a plastic doll. His shrinking ray is one that transforms people into dolls in what can only be presumed to be a weapon based more on one's own sense of style than military practicality. Yet despite a body count that rivals the Daleks, the Master is one that often ends up showing traces of morality. The respect between him and the Doctor has always been a part of his characterization, with their team-ups in The Claws of Axos and Logopolis being particularly enjoyable. What is the appeal of the Master? I think that what irks so many people is the fact that the Master doesn't seem to take himself seriously. No one ever questions the Doctor's bizarre behaviour, as it's always contrasted against enemies that are relentlessly self-absorbed or stuffy. Well, no one can question the ego of the man that has tried to take over the universe. The Master is one of the few villains that seems to have a sense of humour that equals the Doctor. Why did the Master dress up as a Chinese mystic for most of Time Flight? Many have said bad writing, but that fails to realise that it fits that the Master would do so to play act for his own amusement and later to screw with the Doctor's head. Audiences can appreciate a villain who's just a selfish, scheming and arrogant slimeball, worked as far back as Richard III. The Deadly Assassin failed to be a good Master storyline because it removed the qualities of the character that are so iconic by reducing him to being nothing more than a pitiless embodiment of hate like the Daleks. It fails to appreciate that the character is motivated by the same sense of fun that the Doctor is. It's just that the Master is playing for himself rather than others.